and welcome to yet another episode of the podcast we call Back to the TARDIS, a retrospective podcast focusing on every single episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I am Jeff.
I am Skylar.
Oh, I'm Avery. Yeah, I'm paying attention. Hi.
Man. Thanks for another long pause that I'm going to have to spend time to edit out.
No, leave that pause. It was good.
Just slowly fade in the Jeopardy theme. Anyways, today we are talking about Series 2, Episode 2, Tooth and Claw by your boy Russell T. Davies. And before we get started, speaking of ya boy Russell T. Davies, ya boy the based legend RTD dropped a what'd you call it, post-call?
Yeah.
Just sort of like a additional
Epilogue.
Supplementary epilogue supplementary material for Rose, his first episode, because we just reached the 15th anniversary of its transmission, which, dear God. I am not even 20 and I feel old. But apparently in it, there is something implying that in the Doctor Who timeline, Boris Johnson was killed in the Auton attack, and the last surviving bits of the Nestine consciousness reanimated his corpse and have acted as a mole in the United Kingdom government ever since. Which just based RTD.
Based.
I just the best thing too is that is the most RTD thing I have ever read.
Yeah, it's it reminds me of a similar thing I saw on his Twitter, where someone asked relatively recently, I think, if Clive survived, and he replied, it's no, he was shot in the face, and I was just oh man, RTD.
Oh yeah, and the best part about that too was he later was this is one of the best Twitter interactions I have, but instead of taking a screenshot of it, he took a picture of his screen with his phone or something and uploaded it.
It has the gloss of whenever you take a picture of a desktop. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we miss you. Please come back. Anyways,
so yeah, Tooth and Claw. So, as anyone following the Twitter account will know, I had a visceral reaction to the first 3 minutes of this episode. Basically, everything that happens before the opening credits roll is a fever dream. It's shot in this desaturated color palette, which sort of applies to the rest of the episode, just nowhere near as emphasized outside of here. So these groups of monks come to this house in the Scottish moors, and are yo, we're taking your house. And the dude's fucking bet, try me, bitch. And they're fine, we'll take the house by force. And this is an actual quote here: "By what power? The hand of God." And the monk goes, "No, the fist of man." And they all shed their cloaks, and they're wearing red martial arts uniforms, and they do kung fu movie flips around and start beating the shit out of all of them. And there's super high frame rate shots, and I'm just looking at this am I awake right now? Is this actually happening? I didn't remember this part of the episode somehow miraculously. I have seen this episode before, but somehow I didn't remember it.
RTD got the Wachowski sisters to make this one scene feel like a Matrix movie.
God, imagine if they did. Imagine. Holy shit. And then they show off the thing in the cage which does the growl and everyone screams, and then credits, and then just this entire opening sequence just feels so different from the rest of the episode. Like, this episode feels very sort of classic-y. Like, it's definitely an RTD episode in spots, but it feels like a bit more of a classic-y type thing than like RTD's usual fare.
Can I say something that will make everyone hate me?
Oh boy, I'm pretty sure I know what you're gonna say, but
This episode is just about alien furries.
okay, that wasn't actually what I was expecting you were going to say, but now that you say that, I agree with you, so sure, let's roll with that.
RTD really is ahead of the times. Damn.
Anyways, also, this scene here is really great, where they're in the Rose and the Doctor in the TARDIS, and the Doctor is blaring fucking Ian Drury, some like classic, like, not punk, not new wave, but very much like turn of the century. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get my dad to come down here and yell at me about what Ian Drury was, but whatever. What
we learned that the 10th Doctor
okay,
is
yeah,
the Thatcher stand.
It does say new wave. Wait. No, he goes Margaret Thatcher erg. So no, he's not.
Okay, fair enough.
The Doctor, I think, pretty unilaterally would not like Margaret Thatcher, because the Doctor tends to not like, fascists.
I would enjoy a Chibnall historical, because I like his historicals of Margaret Thatcher. But yeah, anyway.
Okay, but Chibnall's the good Chibnall historicals aren't actually written by Chibnall.
Okay.
No good Chibnall episodes are written by Chibnall.
No, there's one like Spyfall was there. There are some good ones. It's just like the best ones are not written by Chibnall.
Okay, I missed the then. My apologies. I will rescind my accusation.
Yeah, get the fucking Demons of the Punjab guy to do it.
Oh yeah.
He's good. Also, one of the this is also very much a classic thing. Like, this doesn't happen as much, but it used to happen all the time, where they're trying to get to 1979 and he accidentally lands in 1879. That shit would happen like all the time in classic. Like, in classic, you very much got the impression that he was only like sort of in control.
I mean,
whereas,
I feel like it happens a lot in New Who as well. Like, I feel like it happens more and more as the time goes on.
He misses every now and then, but he misses a lot less, and usually he doesn't miss as badly as he does in classic or in like early New Who. Generally, like, most episodes that I can think of off the top of my head, like, especially once you get into Capaldi era, are him like, generally either he doesn't know where he's going and just put it on random for the fuck of it, or when he's trying to get somewhere, he generally sticks the landing. But as the Doctor's wife points out, the TARDIS takes the Doctor where he needs to go, not where they want to go. So
isn't that a meme?
Thanks, Neil Gaiman.
He also leaves the parking brake on, so he's not that good.
Oh God, I will bitch about that joke when we get to that. But
isn't that a meme with the 5th Doctor, that one of his companions, he's trying to keep dropping her off at the airport? Or did I make that?
Tegan.
Okay, yeah.
I think he does actually manage to do it too, like before. But yeah. Anyways. There's like a brief thing where David Tennant actually uses his actual Scottish accent. In case anyone didn't actually know, David Tennant is Scottish. I'm pretty sure everyone knew that, but just checking.
Yeah.
I thought he was British.
Oh dear.
Okay,
Take a drink.
that sentence says that. You ever see? You guys know that one Vine where she's like, "Hey, I'm lesbian," and this fucking like 10-year-old's like, "I thought you were American." Y'all remember that one?
Yeah.
Also, Rose does a terrible Scottish accent. And he's like, "No, don't do that."
Just walk in the boot.
We walk in the boot up here.
Also classic shout out because he identifies himself as Dr. James McCrimmon, who Jamie McCrimmon was one of the longest serving companions. Like he basically served the entire of the second Doctor's tenure, who was a Scotsman from the 18th century.
I miss historical companions.
Yeah.
That's a different topic.
Me too.
But yeah.
Yes. And we get introduced to this episode's historical figure, Queen Victoria. She's there. I have nothing to comment on Queen Victoria in this episode.
She's basically just a set piece, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know to like any British listeners if y'all give a toss about Queen Victoria, but like, you know, is that accurate at all? If you don't care, you know, that's fine. I don't know. Just we'll get a British correspondent on here eventually.
I mean, I know we have at least one or two people in the UK listening.
Exactly.
To this show.
I don't know if they can tell
to them.
I don't know if they can tell if it's accurate or not, or if nobody cares because it's Queen Victoria and she can go like fuck off or something. I don't know. But yeah, she's basically just there.
A podcast, British show run by 3 Americans.
Oh God, are we like United Kingdom weebs?
Oh maybe. God.
Mayhaps.
Wait, whoaboos, that would be the term.
Oh no. Oh.
No, this reminds.
Please don't ever say that word again.
True. I'm reminded of obviously April Fools was canceled this year because this whole year has been a joke. But one of my favorite YouTubers who does Doctor Who stuff did like a recap of the history of the show, but like was doing a bit the entire time pretending that Doctor Who was like a PBS American creation and was just like talking about every Doctor with like an American actor as if that was the history of the show. And that brought a smile to my face. So it's Council of Geeks YouTube. I'll give them a free plug.
No, I remember seeing it's in my Google Photos account somewhere, but someone came up with like a like all American doctors list, and I'm pretty sure Christopher Walken was on there somewhere, which fucking amazing.
Yeah, he was.
Donald Glover was on there, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was. Is like 11, I think.
That would be good. I would like that.
Yeah, Council of Geeks doesn't use that list, but anyway, it's funny. But yes, Americans watching Doctor Who will continue.
Anyways, man, we are this episode is definitely not. we ain't trying to be professional here, thank God.
It's because there isn't anything like of note aside from the CGI and the monks.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there is, talking, and they get, they're traveling on. The Queen is traveling on foot because the train was blocked, and so they're going to the nearby manor, which we're not going to say the name of to preserve spoiler stuff.
It's that porn dungeon.
Yes, that's exactly why.
Anyways, so they're walking around and chumming up, and obviously the monks have taken over the house and are plotting to assassinate Queen Victoria. There is a good scene where the doctor like finds this like big ass telescope and is like, cool, and then he starts looking at it. It's like, man, this telescope sucks shit. Who the fuck made this? It's got like too many prisms and shit. Who, like, what? Like, absolutely useless. And then Rose is like trying to like motion at him to get it to stop. He's like, oh, am I being rude again?
That would have been a great Clara 12 moment. I could have.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Also, because Rose calls 10 a punk earlier on in the episode, and I'm like, no, you got that wrong. That's 12.
Geoff, I have a very humorous fact to report to you. I posted on one of my accounts about how we're running a show on a British show with 3 Americans, and somebody replies, "Wait, I thought Geoff was English."
What? Do I sound English?
I don't know.
Like, I'm not. I think I'm speaking in a fairly obvious American accent.
I'm a little
just because, like, listen, just because my dad grew up in Britain and I have a bit more knowledge of the culture doesn't mean I'm British. What?
No, it's just because you're using the accent that British people used to speak when they were colonizers here. That's what they mean.
No, because that. I don't know about that, but
the accent was more similar back then. I don't know. I'm a history major that dropped out after sophomore year. Sue me.
Anyways.
Jesus Christ.
Thanks, fan of the show that actually thought I was English. That's cool, I guess.
Damn, now we've given up all of our authenticity.
Oh no. But yeah. So Rose gets captured and thrown into the dungeon, and okay, interesting thing of note here. I have no idea who the fuck the actor playing like the human form of the werewolf is. It's not just me, right? He looks and sounds like the actor that plays Pippin in Lord of the Rings. It's not him, but he looks and sounds like him.
Oh yeah, huh? I didn't even pay that close attention to him, but once you say that, it like clicks in my head. Like, oh yeah, he kind of does.
I'll admit I've never.
And like,
seen...
as far as I can.
I've never seen the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm not kidding.
What?
I'm not doing a bit.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, you're gonna hate this even more. The only live action LOTOR movie I've seen was the first Hobbit movie.
That's fine. That movie's fine. I will defend the Hobbit movies. They're not as good, but they're fine, or at least entertaining.
Anyways, yeah, I've just got a bunch of angry Twitter DMs. Even though that doesn't make sense because we haven't posted this yet. But yeah, I need to get on that.
Anyways, so yeah, and of course, Victoria prods the owner, the lord of the house, to tell the spooky story. Now, okay. We're about a decent chunk into this episode, and I would like to talk about something interesting that I noticed about like its classic influence. This feels like a 45-minute long classic episode with like somewhat more action. Like, obviously the CGI creature bounding around is like much higher action than what would have probably been a guy in a shitty suit like shambling around like the British, like a film studio that's like wobbling. But like it has a very sort of like Fourth Doctor when Philip Hinchcliffe was showrunner, so they took like extensive influence from like classic like Hammer horror films. Like that's what it feels like. It just kind of like the setting, because period drama is nice and cheap for the BBC budget because they already have a shit ton of those costumes lying around. runabout in a house, library, like it's resolved very quickly, which, again, like 45-minute syndrome. But I feel like if it feels very eerily reminiscent of it. And like, aside from like, some of Ten's more manic tendencies, I could easily see like you dropping like 4 or 8 or 7 in there. Take a drink, because I said 7. I said 7 and 8. Take a drink.
Yeah. One thing I found interesting is, even though I wasn't necessarily like loving every second, to me at least, this was way more tightly paced than it had a right to be. The ending still kind of rushes it, but the fact that they juggle so many,
it's rushed, but
they juggle so many side characters, and I'm just like thinking like, this is doing a decently good job, and they like appropriately like get killed off or start to have less screen time when things start to like ramp up. But I was just like, for the most part, this is a pretty good application of like a ensemble, like historical cast that I haven't really seen well. I mean, I guess Villa of Diodati, I would also argue, handled the balance of their like mansion.
Oh yes, the best episode in that season by far.
Yeah, definitely in contending. So yeah, that was just something that I was like appreciating, even though I wasn't like glued to my seat. I was just like, okay, I can follow things along. And yeah.
Plus, I believe the Wikipedia, the TARDIS Data Core article, I believe, says that this was like not necessarily like a rush job, but he didn't take very long to write it, and it was probably kind of like a space filler. So like, it's better than most Chibnall space fillers.
Low hanging fruit, but yeah.
So yeah. Oh yeah, also the werewolf mentions that Rose has something of the wolf about you, which is pretty nice. But yeah, again, like all the stuff where they're like chasing around, and like the scene where they're in the library reading about the books, like it's not shot like a classic episode, but I could very easily see like translating that to a classic style type of thing. Like I can like, it's like my mental image is like totally like cobbled together from a bunch of episodes like Shada or Talons of Wang Chiang or Ghostlight, but like I can like sort of visually imagine that. Also, like halfway through, the Doctor switches back to his London accent. So David Tennant switches back from his fake accent, so from his real accent to a fake accent, while the character switches from his fake accent to his real accent. Mind blown.
Meanwhile, David Tennant is pissed at Peter Capaldi for being able to do the real thing his whole damn run.
I mean, to be fair, like I don't want to necessarily get into like sort of like national stereotypes, but like Peter Capaldi pulls off like the Scottish better than David Tennant pulls off the Scottish. Or, well, no, probably more just the Glasgow, because I don't believe David Tennant is from Glasgow, so that's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, there's this little thing where they're like, oh, mistletoe like throws it off. So that's interesting again, because it also leads to how most people don't actually die, because you think the people who die the first, aka like the servants and the lady of the house, actually don't, because they figure that out and actually like help like throw the monster off temporarily, which is that's pretty neat, I guess.
Side characters being competent, we love to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, also I think I missed this actually because I was scrolling down, but there was a fucking line. There's a line where he's like, the line where he's like, did you think there was nothing strange about my household? staff, and 10 says, well, they were bald, athletic, your wife's away. I just thought you were happy. Which just, ooh, thanks, RTD.
You love to see it.
Also, this may be like a funny goof for some people. I thought the subplot of Rose trying to get Queen Victoria to say we are not amused throughout the entire episode was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly fine with this episode. I thought that gag was kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's probably more of like I would imagine
cringy.
that's more of a British cultural thing, because I was just like, okay, that's probably something she...
Like those scenes are going to my cringe compilation. Anyways. I the one thing I do like about Victoria is that she is one of a rare like breed of Doctor Who side characters who get involved with like the Doctor's shenanigans. I'm not putting up with this bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, it does make sense because of the amount of power she's used to commanding, and also in a very cynical way.
Yeah.
Even though he helps, she still finds the excuse of like, oh, you're blasphemous. You take joy in this. And then, name of the estate. We'll get there later. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, they have the scene in the library where they're all reading. And then the Lord of the House, I'm looking at the transcript, and the transcript says his name is Robert, but I didn't fucking remember that throughout the whole episode, so whatever. The Doctor figures out that Queen Victoria has the Kohinoor, which is this real ass like fucking huge diamond that the episode just kind of glosses over the fact that the British effectively nicked that for invading India, which very not based of you, RTD, but to be fair, this is in a historical context, so
yeah, there was also like some weird Orientalism in this episode though. Like,
yeah, that is true.
The opening,
it was a rush job. Anyways, so they figure out that actually the reason why Victoria's late husband was so obsessed with the Kohinoor was because he was trying to cut it down into a size that would vaporize the werewolf, because apparently too much moonlight okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say something. There's the whole like light focusing thing, but like fucking scientifically, right? Moonlight is just the sun reflecting off the moon. So
yeah,
like
it only works if you
even intensifying, that's not that strong as if you like, if they got the sun involved and like pointed it, like obviously it's a werewolf story so they couldn't do it, but like sun through the telescope, like roast them like you like burned a hole in your leaf when you with a magnifying glass when you were a kid, like that makes sense.
Well,
moonlight, no
two things. One,
the light is not actually emanating from the moon.
I do like the idea that it's like, yeah, we survive off of water, but if you drown us in it, that's still going to like fuck us up. I know it's still a weak explanation. Number two, let's remember that the moon in this setting is an egg.
We don't talk about that. We do not fucking talk about that. Kill the Moon does not exist. It is not canon. I am saying this now.
I wish that as much as you.
Kill the Moon. Kill the Moon was retconned when Chibnall into power. If that's actually true, I will respect Chibnall so much more.
I will like to say something. Okay, I might change my opinion on this just because I only watched it once and it was like 5 years ago, but I liked it when I watched it the first time. Maybe that will change, but for now, I like killing.
Okay, listen. I'm not gonna burn you at the stake yet. Anyways, so yeah, the doctor just kind of roasts this dude. He fucking goes up and is like, boy, what shoes are you wearing? This was a bad joke. Moving on. Abandoned joke. And there's this little tag where it's implied that Victoria did actually get bitten by the wolf, which haha. Yeah, haha, the royal family are werewolves. Haha. Funny joke. Which okay, sure. Nice tag to the end of the episode. Yeah. And that's the episode. We didn't have that much to talk about here. It is very much just sort of an unremarkable space filler episode, and that's fine. It's better than Unquiet Dead. It's better than fucking New Earth.
Do we want to talk about
New Earth is not a filler episode. New Earth is not a filler episode, but
do we want to talk about Torchwood being founded, or?
Oh yeah. Also, the name of the house is the Torchwood House, and Queen Victoria founds the Torchwood Institute, which will come into play doubly later, because not only are we going to get to the season 2 finale where Torchwood plays in, I'm just going to go ahead and announce this now. We are planning to do sort of a light discussion of Torchwood alongside series 3 and 4 of Doctor Who. We're not going to really go into depth, but I have seen it. Skylar and Avery have not, so we'll just kind of go into some light discussion about the show on top of our usual stuff, so y'all can look forward to that. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we get?
I think it would be more interesting if they laid out some more. I mean, it's hard to do imperialism themes when it's Britain doing the talking, but with the diamond that you mentioned, the fact that we basically don't know what Torchwood becomes until the present, it's okay, you're building up a series arc, but looking back, it's kind of very shallow, which is fine with Bad Wolf, because that's just those are just words, but we've seen what Torchwood has done already. Yeah. It's kind of, this has been disappointing me a little bit with just how little we know, and in retrospect, maybe knowing what it becomes, that's not fair. I'm sure at the time I probably would have been ooh, Torchwood, but yeah, no, the imperialist commentary is definitely there when we get to Torchwood proper at the end of the season. I can't actually remember how much the show talks about it, but that's also Torchwood Wales and led by Jack, who is obviously not a fascist.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stan.
I think that's also why I appreciate episodes like Demons of Punjab, because it's just sort of
no, believe me, that's one of my top 10 all-time favorite episodes. Yeah, but
here's the other.
But we will get there a very long time. We will get there a very long time from now. As for ratings, Skylar,
I have more to say. God. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a very good, this, these early episodes that sort of just gloss over that kind of stuff, and that later episode, kind of goes into the other side of that. And then also, what I just wanted to say about the Torchwood thing is that it just felt like the most ham-fisted nudge thing ever. It's literally...
Yeah, no, that definitely happens in this case. I think this is definitely one of the most, shoehorned in arcs, aside from some of Moffat's stuff with 11. Generally Saxon and all of 4's stuff is integrated a lot more subtler.
Yeah, just it was literally a 1 minute zoom in dialogue where she says the word Torchwood 15 times. She's
yeah, at least they don't play the fucking music sting that goes with it, but whatever.
We need an institute to address this threat to Britain, this house, Torchwood House, and we need an institute.
And we call them the Men in Black. When's that crossover, motherfuckers?
I'm here for it.
Anyways, so going into ratings, Skylar said last week about New Earth of solid 7 out of 10 episode of Doctor Who, and I think that is what I feel like here for this one. It's not remarkable, but it is a perfectly fine episode. I have already seen worse from this show, and for an episode that was apparently written in a fairly short time span, I think it works fine. There's not much to talk about, but it was an entertaining 45 minutes, and I watched it, and even though there wasn't much to talk about or really think about, I wasn't reaching for my Switch to start playing Animal Crossing. So yeah, I guess 7 out of 10. It's fine.
7. Yeah, I gotta agree with Geoff and past me. This is 7 out of 10. It's solid. Not really offensive. I mean, of course there's a little bit of politically yikesy things, or even just missteps with the diamond and stuff, but it's competent. It's paced well for a majority for a majority of the runtime. And
bruh, I've fucked up my words so many times this episode.
Right. It's whatever. But I do think it's noteworthy that a cast this big doesn't just get lost and you have no idea what's going on. It's pretty easy to follow along with things. Yeah, David Tennant is fine, if entertaining. Rose is fine. She didn't piss me off at this episode at all.
Oh yeah, because she's barely in it, but yeah,
yeah,
she's fine.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I can't complain. If someone was just hey, I want to watch an episode of Doctor Who early on, 10th Doctor Rose, that's my jam, but I don't really want to think, but I want to have a good time. I'd be hey, this just a little bit of Doctor Who just for you. I'd recommend them this episode. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, 7 out of 10.
Listen. Man, when we don't have much to talk about, or the episode's especially bad, we're just all over the place. When we get an actually good episode, then I'm yes, fuck yes, let's go. But when it's just kind of meh or bad, it just gets so messed up. But that's probably what a lot of people come for anyways, so I embrace the chaos.
Anyway, I figure it's my turn for my highly sought after, high quality takes for an episode I only half paid attention to. Now, I mean, you said this held my attention. Admittedly, it didn't for me, but also, I was dealing with stuff at the same time, so that's my...
Yeah, and also you watched the episode 45 before we started recording, so...
Yeah.
I watched the episode yesterday.
Yeah, I was dealing with other stuff, so that's my excuse for sort of being in and out and paying attention. I missed most of the second act, but I pieced it together. It's okay. I don't know. I sort of agree with what you said. It's an episode. It exists. Nothing it did was offensively bad. Nothing it did really impressed me. It just sort of happened. It was an episode that aired, and I watched it, and it largely sticks in my memory because werewolves. That's really all I remember. 6 out of 10.
Fair enough. Better than New Earth. I'm going to keep saying it because it's true.
I don't think anything is as bad as New Earth. In this
Christmas Invasion is worse
series.
than New Earth.
Oh well, yeah. I meant afterward.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Well, no.
Idiot's Lantern.
No,
I'll give you Idiot's Lantern.
No, we have Love and Monsters.
I will.
I'm just no.
We'll get there. That's all.
Anyway.
It's a not great season.
However, this season may not be great, but next week I was debating saying this or not. Next week, and I don't need my episode guide for this because I know all about this episode. Next week we are covering School Reunion, where 10 meets up with the legend Sarah Jane Smith. And so I was debating whether I was going to say it this week or start off the episode next week with it, but I'm just going to say it now. School Reunion, the episode that we are covering next week, is my personal favorite episode of Doctor Who ever. Like, it's not, I probably wouldn't call it the overall best, but it is my personal favorite. And one of the ones that I have watched the most. So yeah, I am excited for that. I mean, I'm not excited for Avery to eventually come in and be like, "What are you talking about? This episode sucks dick." But
I am certainly a contrarian, but we'll see. I mean, you hyped up Dalek a lot, and you remember I was very skeptical going into it, specifically because
yeah, that's true.
I picked it up so much, and then I was like, yeah, no, this was an amazing episode.
Yeah.
And
well, we'll see.
I think we all agree that it's been the best one so far.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like, School Reunion isn't better than Dalek, but, like, I just personally like it more. Like, yeah. I'm not going to say it's, like, the best, but I really like it, so I am excited to it. Until then, you can follow us all on Twitter. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at B2TARDISPod. You can follow me on Twitter at WheatleyDL. I might actually be somewhat more active there now, maybe. I have actual followers now who, like, are people I don't know, because I got, like, shouted out by, like, a friend of the show, which was pretty neat. So thanks. Yeah, if I do post, it'll probably just be, like, I don't know, like, me playing bass or, like, screenshots of, like, Persona 5. Until then, yeah, at WheatleyDL.
Yeah. I'm Skylar. You can find me at skyhigh9_5 for all your Twitter interaction needs. Also, if you want to DM me about how I suck for not watching the Lord of the Rings movies, you can do that there.
I am on Twitter at BigFatPenis69, and
again, still not a joke.
You can sort of find my other accounts from there. I talk other places too.
Okay, but can you at least say what some of those other accounts are called?
Which one? What?
Just your other accounts.
Oh, well, I mean, most of them are normal, but my other account, my other major account, is at Vorer of Piss.
Boy, you're never letting go of those domains.
Yeah, I might add a 69 to it. I haven't decided yet.
Anyways, until then, we will see you all next week. So get hyped, boys.